I am your host, Isaiah, and today I am so lucky to have on just recently announced Grammy winner, Jaman Dunn. Jaman, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. My organization won the Grammy. I personally will probably not get the beautiful gold statue, but I work for a Grammy award-winning organization, so there's that.
So therefore, you won a Grammy. I'm taking it.
Okay, so big. Okay,
That's
fine.
going to be in the
Fair. That's
headline.
fair.
That's going to be in the
That's
title of the
fair.
video. You got to do whatever you can
Fair.
for the
Fair.
clicks, on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Where are you coming at me from? You're usually in
Well,
Buffalo, but you're not.
yeah, well, exactly. So I'm usually in Buffalo because that's where I live. I work with Buffalo Philharmonic, primarily right now. I'm currently at my boyfriend's apartment in State College, Pennsylvania.
That's what's
And,
up.
I'm originally from Chicago, for those of you keeping track. So I've been
Oh,
all
yeah.
over the place.
All over the place. We'll get into that. But
Yeah.
first, let's have a drink. And not
Sure.
alcoholic this time.
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
Yeah,
One of these
right.
days. One of
So,
these days. I'm drinking Joe's lemon tea. I had
okay.
Joe's green tea last time, and it was
Oh, there
pretty
you
good.
go.
Pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know how much
I,
this cost, but it was not cheap because it's New York.
of course.
Uh,
I am currently drinking a seltzer water, but before that, I was drinking the good old Barks root beer because I love root beer. It's
it is
great.
the best one. It is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes, it
actually
is.
mistook Barks for Mug like earlier this
No.
week. I know, right? I was like, "Oh, Mug's the best," and I got like weird look, and like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck are you talking about, Isaiah?" Like, no, it's
People,
Barks.
so some people try to argue that it's either Mug or A&W, and I'm just like, no.
No,
It
A&W
needs
is
to be
the bottom of
Barks.
the trash. It is dumpster fire root beer. You're better off with Dad's root beer.
Oh my God.
Which is
It,
actually a root beer.
I thought it was like not your father's root beer. Is that what it is? Not your father's root beer? There's something like that. I don't know. I have to look it up at some point. But that is a thing. I think it's like not your
Well,
father's
I'll tell you
something.
one thing. My dad does not make root beer. If that's what everyone's thinking right now, he does not make root beer. But yeah, so far so good. We'll
Hmm.
top it off at the end and give you the full review at the end of the show. All right, but yeah, so we are digging in here. Jaman is a conductor, but not just a conductor. He's a human being.
This is
Oh my
easily
God.
turned into like the most like it's just like, but who is he? Shall we take a
Exactly.
look? Then you like turn the book page, Once
Mythical
upon a
man
time.
Jaman.
Exactly.
Exactly. No. But
Oh my
anyways,
God.
we're gonna dig into where Jaman is from, where he's been, what got him into music, because he's a conductor, and I don't know jack shit about conducting, so I'd love to know more.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks. So,
I can't keep track of my rhythms. Yeah,
sure,
singer.
we can. I guess. Oh my God. Um, yeah, we can start at the beginning. I guess. So yeah, born and raised in Chicago. I wasn't necessarily like nobody in my family is a professional musician. So the closest I have to a professional musician were family members that were in the choir at church, which is nothing to sneeze at because I have musical talent in my family, just nobody's a professional musician.
Right.
And then when I was around 7, I was introduced to the orchestra for the first time. Loved it. My peers were kind of like, eh,
Uh,
um, because whatever. I went to a predominantly black school, so that's kind of not as surprising as you know. So and around that time, I wanted to play an instrument. Didn't know what. There's a computer program that used to exist called Microsoft Musical Instruments.
what?
And it was, yeah, exactly. So Microsoft used to have these sort of like package deal programs that they would like hand out when you bought a computer, or they would sell them as one-offs. Of course, the biggest one that people knew was Encarta, the encyclopedia thing. So
That rings a
we
little bit
had,
of a bell.
yeah, we had a Windows 95. Yeah, I'm dating myself. We had a Windows 95 PC, And Microsoft Musical Instruments was awesome because it had pretty much every instrument, both Western and non-Western, that you could think of, um, and had like a little snippet of what it sounded like, a little snippet of what it sounded like in different types of ensembles. And I gravitated to the violin for whatever reason.
Of course, because you
Yeah,
were
so
over 5. So
yes.
you're like, yeah, I'm over 5. I should play the violin. I'll have a
So
fighting chance.
I knew nothing about it at the time.
Yeah, right.
And so my dad was like, okay. And my mom was like, sure. And so my mom
Yeah,
told me later that she always wanted us to have my younger brother and I to have sort of a musical education as a part of our upbringing, but she didn't necessarily know what form it would take. And my dad was like, I don't want this to be some really expensive hobby that he's going to do, as kids do, drop in like a year. And then it's like all this
right.
money that I've lost on this really, like, I would rather him do like an inexpensive hobby, and then it's not, whatever. So, but I begged him for a year and he finally relented. Started playing violin at 8, went on. I was in public school most of my life. So, did violin, got to high school, added viola, which I like a lot better, viola power. And
Yeah.
and so after that, I graduated high school and went to Ohio State,
The
which
Ohio State.
oh my god, if I am feeling particularly pretentious to people, I do say that I am a graduate of the Ohio State University, and then people look at me like I've lost my mind. If I'm casually talking to friends, I only call it Ohio State or OSU. When people challenge me and say, why are you saying the, it's not actually there? I then challenge
Oh,
them to
wait.
look up, yeah, then I challenge them to look up the seal of the school. And the article is indeed a part of the seal since 1870. So, thou knowest not what thou speakest of.
Oh my
So,
god.
anyway, so.
Oh my god.
So
Oh
so
Lord.
I went to Ohio State and got a voice degree, which people are like, wait, you played strings, what? And so
Absolutely.
I wanted a voice degree because I love choral masterworks. That shit is my jam. Like, it's my jam.
Yes.
So this is stuff I live for. Sometimes people ask me, they say, what if you had to name two pieces off the top of your head that you can't die without conducting? The first two I always mention are by two of my favorite composers. Sea Symphony by Vaughan Williams,
Okay.
but my most favorite composer that has never ceased to be my favorite is Mendelssohn and Elijah. Like, I
Mhm.
have to do Elijah before I die.
Oh,
Like, I
Elijah.
have to do Elijah
That's
before
a
I
good
die.
one.
Like that's non-negotiable. So
Absolutely.
if I'm on my deathbed, I will say, keep me alive at all costs. I must conduct Elijah. Like,
They'll wheel you out in the freaking
literally
the
wheel me
deathbed.
out, prop me up, give me an iron lung. I will be Vader. I don't care what you
Yes.
want me to do. I will. But
Yeah.
so I wanted a voice degree because there are way too many, and you know who you are. There are way too many conductors out there that are either voice people or instrumental people and don't know how to talk to the other side. And so when you get
Right.
these masterworks together, you will have instrumental conductors asking vocalists for things that the voice is not designed to do. Like, give a certain dynamic that's impossible because of the
Right.
fact that the mechanism is part of the human body. Or you'll get choral conductors that'll look at instruments and say, yeah, do your thing. And the instruments are like, but we need direction. Like, we need to know what your artistic idea is. And they don't know how to talk to instrumentalists. So instrumentalists get pissy and feel that
Oh yeah.
that vocal
Pussiness.
conductors, yeah, they just feel like choral conductors don't really know what they're talking about or what they're doing. And so
I
I
mean,
have I
to
have
be
encountered
fair.
this. I have encountered this everywhere. And then,
Yeah.
vocalists get angry at instrumental conductors because they don't know what they're doing. And I was like, I refuse to be in either of those molds. So I kept my string education, kept my playing chops up. I got my voice degree, and then I applied to Boston Conservatory, where I got my orchestral conducting degree.
And where we met.
And that's where we met because you were there for a hot, brief second, and
A
then you left
hot,
me.
cold, brief second.
Yeah, hot, cold, brief second. He was there, and then he poofed into thin air.
And then I
You know,
poofed and went to Indiana.
the Indiana University. No, So, but while I was at BOCO, I got a lot of great opportunities to do stuff, and then I graduated from there and auditioned for my current job at Boston, or not Boston, at
Oh,
Buffalo Philharmonic. Whoops.
another B
Buffalo.
town.
Yeah, exactly. Another B town, Buffalo Philharmonic. And while there, so I'm assistant conductor of the Buffalo Phil. I am artistic director of the Buffalo Master Chorale.
Ooh,
Um, and so I am able to do both things that I love
man.
simultaneously.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and because I know how the voice works and I know what is necessary, and I have plethora, a plethora of choral experience, I'm able to do both things at the height, and both things with like complete confidence in my abilities, but also completely open to learning new things at every turn. So it's a little bit about me.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Yeah. I've always admired your pursuit to change the way, because if you're watching this, you probably agree that this shit is broken. This classical music thing is fucking broken. Have you been in the Met? To quote my friend Duncan a couple episodes ago, it was already socially distant. I don't know why they're not open. No one's buying those tickets because it sucks. Literally. Have you been in David Geffen? I've only been
Ooh,
there
Lord.
once. Yeah.
David Geffen Hall is just not a good acoustic space. It never has
No.
been. And the thing that I have noticed from afar, and of course, people within the organization will probably say something separate, but they have a separate experience than I do. From afar, the only thing that I've been able to see is that it has been sort of independently agreed upon that David Geffen is basically a shit acoustic, a terrible acoustic, not a good hall to play in. Nobody likes playing there. However, the New York Phil cannot sort of come to an agreement on what to do in the meanwhile while they take the time to redo the hall, because they can't redo the hall quick enough for the New York Phil to not be displaced for some amount of time.
They certainly had a fucking golden opportunity this year. So
They did, but at the same time, if the money's not there or you're not
absolutely.
prepared for everything to just kind of be like bye bye,
Yeah.
like it's just so. But yeah, I have that has been sort of what I've heard about the New York Phil. But the New York Phil is it's a specific case, but there are many orchestras around the country. Like I was like, to your part that it's broken. So I'm going to tell you something interesting. I
Right.
was in a conference call a couple years ago with education directors, community engagement directors of different orchestras around the country, and they were all, and to keep them anonymous because I don't want to be unfair to them.
Absolutely.
Um, they were from orchestras from all over the country. Um, I actually don't have problems calling out one specific orchestra, and I'll get to that. Uh, but somebody from an orchestra around the country said that they were working really hard to change their image because they did a straw poll of the people that lived in their city, and it is a city; it's a pretty sizable city. And they said, what do you think about blank symphony orchestra? And the people said they found that the overwhelming majority of the people that they asked off the street straw poll, elitist, beyond me.
Yeah.
Cultural elitism, some version of that, some version of cultural elitism, some
Right.
version of above, like think they're above everybody else or is above everybody else. But people always say to me, think of your career, don't call people out, blah 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 blah. I am not in the habit of calling out members of my community, my orchestral community that are trying to enact change. I readily call out people that have had like opportunities to enact change, and either they're dragging their feet or they're just not doing it well. Um, when you are from a city that has such a wealth of diversity in its population as I am, you expect more at all times. You always expect more. You expect people to actually, sort of get it done, you know? And the crazy thing about it is Chicago Symphony has not done enough in my mind. Now, of course, there's always going to be the person that's like, "Well, who are you? What do you know? You're not in their innermost workings. You don't know what they've actually done or actually not." My comment is that I'm a part of the population that they're supposed to be serving. If I don't see what they're doing, then it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like that's just that's just kind of the base of it.
Yeah.
So
Fuck,
it's
dude.
just yeah, it's
Oh
just
my God. It's just like anyone who is like, they're like, well, what do you know? It's like, well, I know it sucks and it's fucking no one wants to go see it. And people don't want to go around it because of that. The fucking culture sucks. Like literally, I feel like the cattiness, you know, is a huge other thing too. There's so much cattiness in classical music and fucking exactly being underrepresented, you know, just having a bunch of white people.
I there is no lasting diversity in the classical music field, not here in the United States. It's better abroad, but not by much. I'll tell you a fun story. So I don't presume to speak for any one person, but as I was getting my undergrad, I was told repeatedly by colleagues in the field that are African American, that are Black, and by people that are, very well acquainted with colleagues that are Black in the opera industry. African Americans, when asked, "Would you perform Porgy and Bess?" the overwhelming answer at that time was, "Not unless it's overseas." And so a lot of people were doing Porgy and Bess in Germany. A lot of people were doing it in Western Europe and other places, but no African American would want to do Porgy and Bess in the United States. And the reason why, because a lot of people were like, okay, the reason why is legitimate typecasting. It happens in movies. It happens in opera as well. You see somebody do X role, and you're just like, okay, that's the Black person. They do Porgy and Bess. That's the opera they do. No African American at that time would want to do Porgy and Bess because it's basically a career killer. You do it overseas, they're like, oh, okay, you did this opera well. Let's find a role similar in terms of voice type, and what, plays to your strengths, because that's how everybody should always cast. And then I get angry with sort of like this thing of like where people are still doing Othello in blackface. It's just like, okay, so a couple things with that. You can either just make Othello not in blackface,
You
or you could hire a
radical
darker,
idea.
yeah, exactly. Or you could, if you are really set on the quote portrayal of a Moor, end quote, you can hire someone of a darker complexion to play Othello, because there are not like only three tenors on the face of the planet that can play that role. So that's not true. So you need to widen your horizons.
Seriously.
And I need people to be less of like a, oh, there is misrepresentation, so therefore we're going to do the most thing we can do in the opposite direction so that they stop saying that we don't care. To me, like, so here's the thing. African Americans putting on predominantly or entirely African American productions, I think is a good thing. That's fantastic.
Okay.
People of color in general doing that is good because it gets it out there. When traditionally white organizations see that, however, there's a lot of them sort of take the thought of, well, they're doing it, so I don't really have to. It's getting done somewhere. And a
Right.
lot of people and a lot
Right.
and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, we didn't say that, they didn't say that." I said, no, but as
But
my
your actions are saying it.
exactly,
Yeah.
as my great grandfather would say in his Alabama drawl, actions speak louder than a word ever spoken. So it's so like,
Yeah.
it's like, come on, people.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
after that.
yeah, sorry. It's just like,
Oh, we just we had to say something about it. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it will come back later
yeah.
in the show.
Hmm.
even though there's all this, awful, historic, horrible elitism in classical music,
Hmm.
there's still that spark, that little thing that got you to where you are now and what drove you for years and years to continually pursue this. So, what I'm asking you today is, what is art and what does it mean to you?
So a lot of people, it's funny because I need to let us tell our viewers and listeners that this is not a question that I have like pontificated over, over many years and just I have a textbook definition. Art to me changes with time. Excuse me, but art is an extension of one's experience to me. That's what it is. It isn't some abstract thing. It is not objective. It is not, so many people feel that art is an objective thing.
Hmm.
It's an objective trait. It's something that, everybody should know that blank is, like for example, everybody should know Le Nuit d'Etoile, Starry Night, is fine art. That's such an objective statement. There
Yeah.
could be somebody that comes up and looks at it and goes, "That's ugly. I don't like none of that." It's just like
Yeah.
like art is extremely subjective and it is extremely personal. And I wish that people would remember that before we start judging other people for not liking the same things that we do or not seeing the same things that we do. No two people have the exact same experience in life. So, therefore, no two persons' perspectives on art should be the same. And the more we lean into that and embrace it, the better we'll be as a society. Art is an extension of a person's experience. I make my art with music. The art that I make is, if I'm being perfectly honest, is full of pain. It's full of a lot of pain,
Right.
a
Yeah.
lot of pain, a lot of um, sort of, cast aside feelings, a lot of chip on your shoulder type feeling too. I've gone through a lot. I'm 31 years old and I have experienced a lot of things that colleagues of mine in their 60s have never experienced and will never experience. And it's like, and people need to remember that age is not an indicator of experience.
Absolutely.
And in our field especially, that is more like a cardinal law than a suggestion. And like they're like, if you're 31 you clearly don't know what you're talking about. However, if you're 70, you are, it's time for you to have a certain level of um command or
Say, yeah.
oversight or whatever. And unless you're considered objectively to be a genius, in which case, which I'm like, okay, whatever. Like some of these
Yeah.
people that are really young that get positions, I do think are great musicians and they tell their personal stories very well. um but I also think that they are the benefit of a different kind of culture, because you will notice that most of these people are overseas. If you see any young
Yeah.
person have sort of like a big place here in the States, it's because their parents were well connected for the most part. Or either their parents were very well connected, or they were in a city where they were
That's the
exposed. Yeah, yeah,
thing.
they were in a specific place at a specific time. It's not a universal thing. Um, but I guess when people ask me, what do because like your question, what do I think art is almost like a similar question people ask me, which is, what do you think of when you're producing your art? You
Mhm.
know, which is also fun because it reminds me of a little snippet of something my mother told me once. But when I'm doing my art, you know, of course I'm thinking about notes and rhythms and who to help bring in and who, when to, as a conductor, one of the most important things you need to know is when to be of assistance and when to get the hell out of the way, because more conductors need to learn when to get the hell out of the way. Like if I'm being completely honest, like more of us need to know that. More of us need to know that that's actually a trait that we need to have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean give up. or don't make music with your colleagues, it means get the hell out of the way. They're those are two completely different things. So, but when I'm making music, I'm thinking about, all of the technical aspects of it, but I'm also thinking about both if I have any personal connection to what the music is saying. And I learned what the music is saying by researching who wrote it, what was going on in the world at that time, what was going on in their lives at that time, how did they feel, was it written for a specific reason, was it just written as abstract music, all this other stuff. And I take their experiences and I say, you boil that down to simple emotion. What were they feeling? What do you think they were feeling if all these things were happening? Have you ever experienced this emotion? When have you experienced it? And in that way, my subjective performance of my art is different from anyone else's. Maybe I take the same tempos. Maybe I do some of the same retards or accelerandos or whatever, but it's based on my own experience, not someone else's.
Right.
And that's the only time art can be authentic, is when it's based on you and not somebody else. So,
Absolutely.
and my mom, the thing that she's always said to me was that whenever she would go to concerts of me performing, she told me she would close her eyes and like images from my childhood would flash before her eyes. So, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, so
that just tickle your heartstrings.
yeah, so that's kind of a long, thorough answer, but yeah, that's what is art. That is what art is to me.
Yeah. I think of honestly, I think of when I was in high school band. When I think about what you said, it's everyone can pull a different experience. When I was in high school band, particularly, I feel this definitely is different from, say, vocal music to just instrumental music.
Hmm.
Everyone, like, tell us what story is going on in this piece. It was always a fun activity we would do,
Hmm.
and every single person is different. Like, generally, oh, the music's
Hmm.
getting louder, it's intensifying, it's doing this
Yeah,
thing, or whatever the phrase is doing. But
yeah.
everyone always told a different story, and that's kind of the beauty in all of it.
Hmm.
Of course, words lead us in directions with vocal music and
Hmm.
gives us a kind of a direction. But that love song in French, you're
Hmm.
American, you probably don't fucking know French. So you're still interpreting, what the hell it means.
This is where Nico Castell and Beaumont Glass come in.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You're just like, what the fuck's this Beau Soir shit? Uh, who's Debussy?
Oh my god.
Debussy? Debussy? Debussy.
Debussy. Debussy.
Debussy. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
See, I even
yeah.
said it wrong
No,
the
it's
last
fine.
time.
It's
you
fine.
know. But
It's
the whole
completely
point,
fine.
everyone's perspective is different, and
Hmm.
that's what makes it human. That's what makes art human, and that's what makes what we do so special, because
Hmm.
we affect every single person who observes the art or witnesses it, for example,
Yeah.
in a different way, and it's going to
Yeah.
touch everyone differently, and that's something that's not quantifiable in math or science. You can't quantify what someone's going to feel when they hear something or observe something.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I love your definition. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thanks.
um
Yeah.
Now, of course, we really went off the rails there. So let's let's get back on the tracks now and
Yeah.
with my schedule. But great conversation we're having. Like, great stuff. What I always admired about you, and we were just about to get to it, but then I think we a little off.
Hmm.
Your approach to what's the phrase I'm looking for? Not scheduling, programming,
Mm.
programming pops and non-pops music to make
Mm-hmm.
the concerts more enticing. Now, you did this. This is something that transcended many different places for you. You've talked about it in the past. You're like, the Ohio State, I made my own damn orchestra. And then at Boco, you made your own damn orchestra. And now, even today, you're gonna start be going full time on a career of making your damn own orchestra.
I guess I do have a pattern. That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
I never think of it in that way, but that is a pattern. I have indeed started a nonprofit orchestra called Polaris, and we are getting it done. We're trying to actually we're not trying anything. We are
Doing the do.
changing the landscape of what orchestral music is, what the orchestral experience is, what can people look forward to coming into a concert hall, what about it is interesting, what about it is new and exciting, and everything. There are people that would say out there, and the thing is, I say a lot, there are people that would say, because if I ever say that, it means I've heard this from multiple sources. So there are people that would say out there, there is no need to make it exciting. It is what it is. It's fine just the way it is. And my thing is that I think they mean exciting to mean something away from what they're used to, in which case, yes, I will change away from what you're used to, but that doesn't mean that you won't get an experience that you will enjoy. Like, exciting doesn't mean, fireworks popping off and somebody coming out, let's get ready to orchestra. There's no there's no WWE ring here.
It ain't no Michael Jordan pulling up.
No.
Chicago Bulls.
No, but it's just basically people realizing that you're going to change stuff, and so they get afraid, they're kind of freaked out. But Polaris is doing is just trying to make the orchestra accessible to literally anyone.
Yeah.
My goal is to not, and the thing is, I have to say this to people all the time, my goal is not to create an army of BIPOC and women, orchestral musicians or opera singers. My goal, my dream is to be in a position where any and everybody, BIPOC, female, non-binary, anybody, anywhere, LGBTQ spectrum, can look at orchestral music as a viable career path and then make the decision to do it or to not do it in their own mind, of their own volition. Because so many of my community, so many of the African American community don't have that option. Like, it's looked upon as like not even something attainable. They don't see people that look like them doing it. Their peers are like, that music is boring, all kind of crap. In all seriousness, I should not be in this career path. This should not be what I'm doing with my life. But my passion outweighed peer pressure. That's the only reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But when I program, I try to program to be like, okay, let's give a little of some old dead white guy here, and let's give a little bit of some but the thing is, I don't program in a vacuum. I tend to have sort of an overall arc, either for the program or for a series of programs, so that things are actually connected, because I want people to walk away with having had an experience, not having had sat there for 4 pieces on a program.
Right.
I tell people all the time, even in my conducting, when I get on the podium for a concert, I am only conducting for 2 people. I'm only making music for 2 people, 2 types of people. The person that's there for the first time and the person that's there for the last time. Only 2 people I care about. Whenever I get on the podium, only 2 people I'm conducting for. The person that's there for the first time and the person that's there for the last time.
That's powerful. Seriously.
So,
that is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember flashback. I'm going to take you back. It was a special time. It was a special time back then. Your concert at Boco. Star Wars. The Star Wars suite. I remember you're like, this shit was so fucking expensive to buy.
Yeah, it was. I had to. So the great thing was Ryan allowed me to use the parts for the suite itself, but I also did Across the Stars from episode 2, which I did have to buy out of pocket, and that was some money, but I don't regret buying it at all, so it's fine.
Right. No, I just remember, I'll never forget this moment.
Mm-hmm.
during Leia's theme.
Oh
The
God.
final A section, if that's what it is.
It's
It
the
was right
climax of the.
after
I
the
know. Yeah.
climax. Yeah. You know, the explosion, you know.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher had died recently.
She had died a couple weeks, or not a couple weeks. She had died in December, and this was in March. So yeah,
Right.
she had. Yeah.
So Jaman was just so in the moment. And Jaman just straight up at the climax on his podium fucking jumps as a 6-foot giant man. Just
I'm so
fucking
upset.
jumps
I
on
that is
hits the
enshrined.
downbeat.
That is enshrined in a video that I will not tell you where it is, but that is
Ah!
enshrined in a video, and
I
so
will never ever forget that. But
I
like
can't
that
erase
is
it.
the epitome. Like when I think about passion, I think about that
Mhm.
moment.
So the thing that you didn't see is that I jumped and my glasses, because I was sweating, my glasses fell off and hooked in my beard and just kind of because so my beard was like this, and so they kind of just like hung here for a second, and then I had to take them off, and so then I conducted the next movement that we did, which was Yoda's theme with no glasses, which was not a good idea because I'm nearsighted, and so at the end of that, you could see me in the recording kind of go like, yeah, let's never do that again, and I put my glasses back on for like the last movement, but yeah,
Oh my god.
it was great.
But that was such a good program.
Hmm.
Do I remember only Star Wars? Maybe. But like it's just that moment though. Like I
Yeah,
was so thrilled and someone I feel like it was pretty filled.
yeah,
There's a lot of
I.
people there.
Mhm.
Star Wars did the trick. You know
It
what's up.
did. It brought
It
people in.
really
Yeah,
did.
it did.
And it definitely got people involved.
Hmm. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was a program about like water and space, and
Yeah.
I premiered a movement of something by a student composer, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
did Von Williams' Norfolk Rhapsody #1
I remember
and
Vaughn Williams was in that.
Respighi's Fountains of Rome. So yeah, so yeah, it was a fun program. It's a fun
Yeah.
program. It was really hard, but it was a great program.
Yeah.
And people were like, "That sounded awesome. How long are you guys rehearsing?" I said, "I only had 3 rehearsals, but yeah." And we're just kind of like, "What?" That's what
We
happens when
love
you
ad
inspire
hocs. We
passion. Yeah,
love those.
exactly. Yeah, ad hoc orchestra. You inspire passion in the people that want to play, and stuff comes together in the best way.
Yeah, it's really
So,
magical how those
hmm
quick to go kind of things happen.
hmm
So we've been talking about, partially joyful things, partially not joyful things. Let's go back into some pain. Let's talk about your life before 2020 and then just like snowball into the shit storm that was coronavirus in the US.
oh my god. So I, man. So coronavirus is both a blessing and a curse in a
Yeah.
way, and not everybody will say that. But
I feel that way too. Don't worry.
I'll start at the beginning. I was reminded a few days ago, when it popped up in my Facebook memories, the last live concert I went to, which was to hear one of my favorite pieces for the first time. Like I had never heard it in full, and I had never heard it live, and I went and I heard it in full live, and it is in my top 5 pieces, and it will never leave. Um, I drove up to Rochester to see a friend of mine that's at Eastman. It's only an hour from Buffalo, and the ACDA regional conference was ending, and for their final concert, do you know what they did? You know what they did?
What they do?
They did Britain's War Requiem.
I did that at IU.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah. The War Requiem is amazing. The Sanctus is probably one of my favorite movements. The Sanctus and the Quam Omnium Aberhe I just love because of the sort of the
Yeah.
turn and the rhythm. But anyway,
Yeah.
that was the last thing I went to live. And it was a fantastic concert. It was packed. It sounded fantastic. They were on point. Oh my goodness. And so I was preparing to audition because I had gotten an invite to audition for the assistant conductor job at Louisville Orchestra. So I was preparing to go audition for Louisville and Teddy Abrams. I was starting an ad hoc with some friends in the Buffalo area to do some stuff. Shut up. To do some stuff. And I remember the last thing I did. So all hell broke loose at the end of the week. Okay. Thursday morning, I did what is part of the Buffalo season is the West Side Connection concert. And so I did the West Side Connection concert where we highlighted Jessie Montgomery and we did a couple of her pieces. And because whenever I program anything at BPO, it's like very much BIPOC female heavy, because as it should be. Anyway, so we did a couple of Jessie Montgomery things. Um, and the soloist we had the junior soloist from the previous year of the Sphinx competition, junior winner, Nigel Witherspoon, fantastic cellist, played the last movement of the Lalo. That afternoon, I had a rehearsal for my ad hoc orchestra, the first one. On my way there, I got a call from the guy who was like, "Yeah, we have space for you," and he was like, "Hey, you can't use the hall anymore because the school that the hall was connected to, the school is closing early for spring break." I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah." He said, "Canisius is closing early for spring break, and they are not going to reopen for a while because and that was Thursday. I get to the rehearsal and I'm like, I don't have a performance space. And then I was rehearsing at UB, and then UB was like, we're closing campus at the close of business on Thursday. So I had nowhere to rehearse after my first rehearsal. And I was freaking out. Before my rehearsal started, my phone dinged and I looked and it was an email. And the email said, Louisville is canceling our audition until further notice. Now, my audition with Louisville was the next Tuesday, and I had already bought my plane tickets.
So you were
And so, yeah.
pissed.
And so Friday happened, and I was just kind of like, well, there goes my life, upended and done. And so all three of my jobs stopped because I was teaching as well at the time. So all three of my jobs immediately stopped. My audition was off. My ad hoc orchestra dismantled. Like we had sort of a one rehearsal thing and then it was gone. And here I was just kind of like holding the bag, trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And it was all gone in the blink of an eye. One of the things that was great about it is that I was killing myself working three jobs. I had no business working three jobs, but I needed to make ends meet because,
Right.
that's how it is. That's how it is
It is.
sometimes. So, but like, I ran away to my best friend's place in Columbus, Ohio, stayed there for a couple months, came back to Buffalo, and it was like, I don't what am I doing? Started playing one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm still playing it. Star Wars, The Old Republic. It's an MMO.
Oh, yeah,
I've been playing it. I've been playing it off and on since beta. So, and it came out in 2011. So that should tell you something. So,
yeah.
but in June, after the George Floyd murder and several other things happening, so George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of that stuff, which is interesting now because I was about to audition at Louisville. I might have been in Louisville when the Breonna Taylor thing happened, depending on the timing of my audition, if they had like rescheduled it for like a couple weeks after or something like that. So, and I was like, enough is enough. I'm fed up waiting for other people to do things that should have been done decades ago. I'm fed up waiting for people to, I'm sick of people telling me take your time. I'm sick of people telling me not yet. I'm sick of people dragging their feet. So, you know it has come to my attention and I have no choice but to do something about it. And that's when the genesis of Polaris happened. And here we are.
7 days later, world
7 days.
created.
Oh my gosh, you're right. No, so yeah, Genesis Polaris started in June. We officially launched in September. We are going strong. I I found newfound self-confidence in myself like right after I started Polaris in July. I was the happiest I'd ever been in my life. September, I found my boyfriend, who is the man's my soulmate. Like, no question about it. I love him to death. He is fantastic. He's extremely smart. I joke all the time that he's smarter than me. Um, and I could not be happier. Like
Yeah.
the pandemic was, it's just sort of pulled out the rug from under everyone. But I am one of those people that am actually the better for it.
I'm in a
So
similar boat, so I feel you. I mean, obviously,
yeah,
there'll be listeners who'll be like, "What the fuck? What
yeah,
the fuck? People died, and you're
yeah,
living? No, no, bad. No, 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 no.
yeah,
It's not treated everyone equally. And everyone has had a completely unique experience, just like with art.
yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly. So
it's the pandemic really showed us the dirty laundry.
mhm.
That's what I'd like to say. It just
It showed us the dirty laundry of our lives, the things that we were like
yeah,
trying to ignore for like. I have been trying to ignore my own self happiness for years. I have been ignoring everything.
exactly.
And I was ignoring the fact that working three jobs was killing me. It was. It
Yeah,
was. It was murderous to my mental health.
yeah.
No person. I don't care who you are and what you're doing. No person should have to work three jobs to make ends meet.
Period.
Honestly, no person should have to work two jobs to make ends meet.
Yeah.
One job should be able to make your ends meet. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big or small your family is. I don't care where you live in the country or in the world. One job should be sufficient, and your work life balance should be sufficient that your job is not all you think about and all you do.
Absolutely. I could not agree
So,
more. I've been through a similar thing actually recently. So now I went from two to one. And
mhm.
I'm a happier human being because of it. Because I just thought, fuck, I'd rather be poor. You don't have time to think about anything. You don't really you're not living.
No, you're
You
not.
know?
Not at all.
Exactly.
And I never would have been able to start Polaris had the pandemic not happened, believe it or not. And I guess not saying that I wouldn't have been able to start it had not, sort of the sickness and death happened, but it would not have happened if the sort of abrupt halt to my life as I knew it hadn't happened. So just to make it clear for the people out there, I am not advocating for sickness and death. I
Yeah.
I am, however, advocating for people to put a full stop in their lives and take like three steps. Don't take a step back. Take three steps back
Yeah.
and figure out why are you doing what you're doing, and live with the answers that you have for yourself. Don't try to like force them to be answers to make you feel comfortable. Live in the
Mhm.
discomfort, you know,
Absolutely.
and then make a change.
Yeah. Totally. So I gotta ask because this is always a fun segment we do after
Hmm.
that heartwarming segment. Um, did you have any hobbies and that stuck, or any fads that you did during the quarantine that you think back on and you're like, what the fuck was I doing? Um,
I do not have any weird hobbies I've picked up. Um, I I lost my health train, which is unfortunate, but because I was working out, I was doing real
right.
well, and then the pandemic was like, haha, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm fat now. So
Uh,
it's just like, well, I was stress eating. It just wasn't good.
I do that
And so
anyways.
right. I think
So cathartic.
I think the biggest thing, well, yeah. So video games have always been my stress reliever. Like I
Yeah,
am a huge gamer, and
absolutely.
so with the pandemic on top of my already, mental health struggles I was stressed out a lot more than often, and so I started playing, Star Wars again,
Mhm.
and it's been fantastic. I've been playing. This is the longest I've played since the game came out.
Damn.
I've been playing since last June. I'm an
Okay.
officer in my guild. Like I'm in the Discord all the time talking to people. I took a break though because, like a dummy, I thought I could just play games and not pay attention to what I was doing or how I was doing it. And now I have tendonitis. And now I have tendonitis in this arm.
Ah, shit.
So yeah, so it's just it got aggravated because I don't conduct as often either. So I was suddenly
Oh, fuck.
conducting and I had been gaming a lot. And so my wrist was like, excuse you, black person. And I was just like,
Ah!
okay, great. So
Oh my god.
I had to buy a brace. I have arnica gel.
Right.
I had wear ice pack a lot. I had to stop.
Mhm.
Like I haven't played in 2 weeks because I had to just
Shit.
stop. Yeah, but I feel a lot better now. I'm gonna go back to playing on Monday probably. But the thing out there to all you gamers, invest in a good setup. like for your body. And the thing is, I took Alexander Technique classes in grad school. I should know better. So it's like, invest in a wrist rest, invest like for your keyboard and your mouse, invest in a more
Yeah.
ergonomic mouse. Make sure that your elbow is always lower than your wrist. It should never be parallel or higher.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
This
make
none of
sure,
this
yeah,
shit.
right. And make sure exactly, because that's what people do and that's how it happens. And make sure that your chair is of sufficient height,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Because like because I'm gaming for like 6 to 8 hours a day, you know.
Yeah.
Like on my shorter days I'll game for like 4, but as a guild
Mhm.
leader, you do 6 to 8 hours a day and you're like, and of course it's
You're in
not
it.
8 hours in a row all the time, but still, it's not good for your body.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the only real thing I picked up. Oh, I am a fucking baker. I
Oh.
make so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped buying bread. I don't buy bread anymore. That's
Wow.
another huge thing. I don't buy bread anymore. I just make it.
Do you
Hmm?
do you hear that?
What? No. What is
Oh,
it?
I think there was a New York pop-up right outside my apartment, and I could hear like some damn good singing.
Oh, okay.
I was
Okay,
like,
great.
they've been doing that in the city where they just have
Yeah.
random like flash mob of like
Oh,
big
that's awesome.
workers like
That's awesome.
performing, and I think
Hmm.
they were on a car because that was not a recording. That was
Okay.
definitely not. That was it. Just caught my attention and got me
Live
spacing
music.
out.
Yeah, well, look, live music is always good. So, I
Oh
get
my
it.
god!
If I
Right?
heard live music, I'd be like, wait.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Come
There's a different.
closer.
Yeah, I guess this
Yeah.
thing's good at condensing or something. But yeah. So I mean, we've covered a lot of this. I guess. I mean, obviously the idea. Would you like to cover like your crew, who you're working with for Polaris?
Sure. So my two co-founders, Nate Taylor, also goes by Ace, and Gabby Glass, both fantastic musicians, both really integral to the creation of Polaris. And so the three of us have kind of been, we did the initial startup, get the word out, and now we're bringing on some more staff to try to get stuff going. But Nate, Gabby, and I are kind of the face of the organization right now. Still,
Yeah.
me, of course, being the founder, but yeah, and the artistic, music artistic director, whichever one you
Artistic
prefer.
conductor,
Yeah,
founder.
right.
Uh
Conductor, founder, man, stick wave. You
yeah,
know,
stick wave.
you know.
Yeah.
So, but just wave a stick, just whir,
Mm.
So anyway, it's just like so. But like it's we have a website. We are on our what is our website's Polaris orch.org. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. We have a YouTube channel. We're
You're
getting
just
out
out
there.
there.
Yeah, we're doing the stuff. So building.
Amazing. So
Hmm.
to kind of before we do all the we get a good review on this guy here and
Hmm.
also close it out, I want to just touch on what you think your future with Polaris and the future of the classical music world will be post this corona world, what you're doing with your group Polaris, but also just in general will be due to everything that has happened in this environment that we've lived in for so long, and what you're kind of rallying for and what you think how that'll affect the industry.
I really don't know how we're going to come out of this. Like looking, what we'll look like. I mean, um, I know that there's sort of like two camps right now that I've noticed. There's the camp of people that are like, oh my god, live music, we need to get back to where we were, and then there's a camp of people that like, I love live music, but I don't know if I'm ready to be in the quarters that I used to keep, like in terms of like proximity to people, in
Right.
terms of like what we I I don't know how we're going to come out of this because if I'm being perfectly honest, this was the perfect time for organizations to have if there was ever a need for an excuse to reevaluate what you do and how you do it, you were pretty much handed it on a silver platter.
Seriously. Yeah.
And some organizations are going to come out doing things better, but still probably not quite good enough, for fear of alienating donors or whatnot. And then other people are just not going to do anything at all. They'll go back to
Right.
their, black folk in February, women in March, Latinx in September thing.
The Met.
And it's just, it's just, it's very like problematic. But the reason why I created Polaris is in anticipation of people not getting it yet again. So
Yeah.
because like, look, I ain't got patience for that stuff. I ain't got it no more. It's gone.
It is.
My patience has run its course. My grandmother used to say, so whenever something really annoys someone, they really will say, you're getting on my last nerve, is normally what the saying is. My grandmother would say, such and such is getting on every nerve I got. And basically that's kind of where I am with this field right now. It's
Mhm.
one of the main reasons why I created Polaris, because I've gone through too much and I'm over it. Nobody after me needs to go through this anymore. I'm done. Like, I'm done. You know, I don't need like if you're not going to reform, then I'm just going to create the new normal, and then you can either follow along or be left in the dust. It's up to you. So it is what it is. So as far as coming out of this, people will be eager to make music, whether or not they treat representation in our field as some social justice propaganda or an integral part of them staying alive remains to be seen.
Right.
Polaris, meanwhile, is going to stay the course, and our goal is to be the beacon that leads, all the orchestras behind us, kicking and screaming if need be. Um, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to create the new normal. We're not here to abridge what exists. We're here to create the new normal. Um, and if my reputation is one that, stirs things up, I would much rather stir things up and have somebody after me have a better experience because of it than say I
Absolutely.
played by the rules, and got a big good career. Because I don't really care. My career, yes, I want a career. Yes, I want accolades. Who doesn't? But
Right.
I don't want all of that at the expense of the success of somebody behind me, or
Yeah.
somebody having to go through the same like stupid, unnecessary, like gamut, running the gauntlet, running the gamut of what I had to do. Like, if I didn't make that better for the next person, then what am I doing here?
Right.
Like, you know, so
Yeah. Yeah. No, the industry is just fucking it's so saturated. It's so just the same shit every year. It's
mhm,
so cookie cutter. So like you do X, Y, and Z, you'll be here in this amount of time, even though that's bullshit. They feed you that.
mhm.
And I think the future, that's part of why I started this show, was I just want to talk about what I want to talk about, and I don't care what douchebag fucking upper echelon dude sees it. I'm talking shit about the Met. Congratulations. Everyone is saying this. You're just not. You're paying out the New York Times to keep your dirty laundry not on the front page. Like, seriously, that's what happened to James Levine for 30 fucking years.
I still can't
You know?
believe I still can't believe the Met hired musicians that were not their own. Like, that's just
Yeah.
that is like the epitome. That is both the epitome of unprofessionalism, and that's just asinine. Like, who does
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. And then fucking the Vienna Phil had to call him out. And they're just like, this is fucking bullshit.
The Vienna Phil shouldn't have to call you out. Like
Seriously.
like you should have known better.
No,
You
they know
know,
exactly what they're doing.
but common sense is, a dime a dozen these days.
Yeah,
So it just is what it is. And yeah, my the road with Polaris is not going to be easy. I know it's not.
no,
I'm gonna make a lot of enemies. A lot of people are gonna be angry that I'm doing stuff. A lot of people are
yeah,
gonna feel some type of way. But my goal is not to please them. My goal is to not. My goal is to change the narrative for the next person. You know,
absolutely,
like the next generation. They need to have it better than I did. You know,
100%.
they just need to have it better. And one thing I will say too, for all of those people out there, those black folk that feel that in this field specifically, those black folk that feel like they're being quote edged out of the progress discussion in favor of the LGBTQ community. Um, I'm coming for your ass. Okay, you need to calm down.
Oh shit.
I like you need to calm down because there are a lot of them out there. They're just like, oh my god, like, everybody's talking about LGBTQ, but we need to like do the black folk stuff. We did it. I belong to both communities. Um, you don't sacrifice one. You don't sacrifice one group's sort of process at the expense of like I don't know who brought that to the forefront as sort of like some sort of doctrine that needs to occur. You don't sit here and say, okay, so in order for so and so to make progress, this other group needs to stall for a bit. No, you can all make progress together at the same time.
What a novel concept.
What a novel concept. We can all make progress together.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
yeah,
we have good news at the end of this very very moving podcast and showing of the Dirty Laundry podcast. We're doing a show. We're throwing something. We're doing a thing. Collaboration of Art Post Cove and Polaris.
Yes.
Are doing a Light of Hope recital is what I'm calling it because
fantastic.
That's what it is, and I'm insanely generic. It is a recital full of just hopeful songs or something that got people through. A bunch of my friends and a bunch of people from Polaris as well. We're going to pull this program together. We're going to have talks throughout the middle of it, and it's going to be a great night. It's going to be the March 26th. That's what month it is. March. How? I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a year. Oh, yeah, Lordy. Right.
But it's going to be March 26th. It'll air at 7:30, just like any other concert would. By now that this is being posted, there should be a Facebook event. If there's not, you need to yell at me in the comments and in all forms of social media because it should exist, but it doesn't. But yes, we are putting together a recital with first guest Duncan Holtz Hall and Jaman, and I will be hosting this show, and it's gonna be
Once upon a time in the concert world. I have no
concert world. We had
yes, Welt, minor concert Welt.
We'll be having a fuck ton of shit on there. It's gonna be not pretentious. So if you like that, you clearly like this show. So hit it up. It's gonna be premiering here on YouTube that night. And all proceeds, we'll recommend donations. We would love donations, and all donations will be going to Polaris to help Jaman do his thing, which we love letting Jaman do his thing. So please, people, just start fucking shoving it over there, so he can do his damn thing.
Thanks, guys.
Is there anything you would like to shout out? Anything other than Polaris? You doing anything else on the side? Events coming up besides the obvious?
Polaris, we're trying to do an event this summer in DC. Details would be forthcoming once we are able to solidify more details, but we are trying to plan an event in the district this summer. Excuse me, a lot of things are still in flux. At the very least, we are trying to record something. So keep on the lookout for that because that will be plastered literally everywhere that we can plaster it. Absolutely. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm getting more active in my public Instagram. Melanin Maestro for All is my handle. Polaris, just follow us. We're doing some great stuff. Follow, give us a like, tell us to your friends and neighbors and colleagues, and shoot us $1 if you have it.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna check and finish this out real quick, but I already know because it's a solid 5 out of 10. That's fair. If I had anything else to buy, I would probably buy it. I don't have a negative disdain. The green tea was better. Yeah, Joe, what the fuck, dude? Like, you just didn't really try. Fucking yellow truck, have an ass. Like,
Watch the guy that owns
Like,
is not even
literally.
named Joe.
Dude, he's probably a John, and he's just trying to pretend he's cool like Joe. Some shit. Whatever. But you know what? It is what it is. Jaman, it's been
tea.
such a pleasure having you on.
It's been wonderful being here. Thank you.
Today. We definitely had some tea today, said today. If you like the show, like, comment, subscribe. We may finally be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify one day, but not this time. It costs money. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Until next time, peace.
Stand clear of the